Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I want to show you how to make a beaded Kumihimo bracelet. This here is what we're going to be making in this video, and it is an 8 warp bracelet, and I've added beads to each of the 8 warps. And the supplies you're going to need for this project is a ruler to measure out your cord. You're going to need this glue-on clasp. You can see there's a little well in there where we're going to stick our braid. We're going to use some E6000 to glue that braid in place. You're going to need a pair of scissors, some bobbins. I'll show you how to use these in just a moment. I've got some Super-Lon cord in both teal and purple, and I've got matching beads here. These are Toho seed beads in size 8/0. And I'm going to limit my color palette. It's going to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on in the video, as I was going to make this wonderful spiral pattern. And then I'm going to need my braiding disc. You'll get an instruction sheet in with the disc when you purchase it. It's not going to show you how to do beaded Kumihimo, but it will show you how to do a bunch of different braids, which you can adapt to beaded Kumihimo very easily. And then last but not least, I have created a little handy dandy weight for myself. You're going to need to weight down your Kumihimo, so when the braid is coming through the bottom here, which you'll see in a moment, it needs to be weighted. And so I've just taken this binder clip, tied some rat tail around it, and then this weight is actually from my dapping set, but you can use whatever you have around home, which will just give you a really good anchor. So to begin, what you're first going to want to do is measure out some of your Super-Lon cord. For the bracelet here, I want to make about a 7.5 to 8 inch bracelet, so I'm going to measure 30 inches of Super-Lon. And this is actually going to give me more than enough. So I'm just going to cut that. And I'm going to need 4 of this color and then 4 of the purple, because we're going to have 8 warps, so 4 of each color. So go ahead and measure yourself out, all 8. All right, once you've got all 8 measured out, so you've got 4 purple and 4 teal, 30 inches long each, we're going to tie them together. Now we do have another video from Beadaholique.com showing you how to do the basic 8 warp Kumihimo without beads. And I would suggest going ahead, taking a peek at that video, maybe trying the standard Kumihimo without beads before you attempt it with beads, because beads are just one more step. And sometimes I find when you're learning a new process, it's a little bit easier to go back to the basic, learn that first, and then add on a new component. So I've got all my tails lined up. What I want to do now is I want to just tie a simple overhand knot pretty close to the end, just like that, just so that all my strands stay together. Tug that. Then what I want to do is, just to keep everything straight, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to slide my tail through the middle, and I'm going to clamp it with my weight. You don't have to do this step right now, although I find it's a little bit easier just because it keeps my strands anchored someplace on my table. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to preload my beads onto my S-Lon cord. So to do that, I'm just going to take the end of the cord. You can use a big eye needle if you like, although I found I don't really need one. And then you want to put 50 color coordinating beads onto one of your strands. So I'm going to put 50 purple beads onto one of my purple strands. Now after you've got all 50 beads loaded onto your strand, go ahead and scoot them down towards the middle and take one of your bobbins, just pop it open, take the end, hold it with your thumb, wind it a couple times around the bobbin, then scoot some of your beads down, wind them around the bobbin, wind a little bit more, scoot a few more beads, wind a little bit more, and then pop your bobbin shut. And you'll see I've done this where I have maybe 15 beads or so and about 6-7 inches hanging below the surface plane of my Kumihimo disc. And that's what you want to start. So now go ahead and do that for each of your strands, loading 50 beads per strand, and make sure that they're color coordinated. And then once that's done, we're going to position our Super-Lon cord and start our braiding. Once you've added all your beads to your Super-Lon cord, and you've got those all in bobbins, so you see we've got some beads along with the cord wound into the bobbins, you're going to want to then organize your Kumihimo disc and lay your strands out on it. So I want to show you basically what we have here just so you can see. I've got that weight and I've got the little clamp. You can make whatever type of weight will work for you. This is just kind of a makeshift one. If I hold this up, you'll see I've got approximately the same length of string coming out of each of the bobbins, and I've got some beads. You're going to be able to add beads as you go, so don't worry about if you have 12 beads or 20 beads or anything sticking out of the bobbin at this point. You're going to be able to go and add them as you go from that well, that reserve that you have within the bobbin. So now what we need to do is we need to flip this over so that the Kumihimo beading disc is facing you, and you want the 16 at the bottom and the 32 at the top. I'm just going to for now let the weight drop behind. I'm going to hold the little knot essentially in my hand so that it's just below the circle. And now I need to straighten these guys out and organize them. So this can get a little tricky. So I like to usually just pick a color, such as this purple one. So I see I've got a purple right here, and I just pull on it until it comes out of the strands. And I'm going to place this one to one side of the top dot. So one side, the slot between the 31 and the 32. I'm going to grab another purple, and I'm going to put it up top on the other side of the dot between the 32 and the 1. Now I'm going to take a green or a turquoise, and I'm going to put it to one side of the 24. And then I'm going to take another turquoise. And I'm looking in at my dot. I'm kind of trying to pick ones which are near the right edge. So you'll see when you tied your knot, your strands will be coming out on, some will be closer to here, some will be closer to here. I'm trying to take ones that are somewhat close to the edge I'm working on. All right, so I found a green one I want. I'm going to put that to the other side of the 24 dots. That's between the 23 and the 24. And I'm going to put two more purples down below. So one to one side of the 16 dot and one to the other side. And for my remaining two teals, I'm going to go ahead, untangle them, and put one to the one side of the 8 dot between the 7 and the 8, and one to the other side between the 8 and the 9. All right, and I can tell my little weight has slipped out right now, so I'm just going to quickly retie that. Okay, so that should hold. So this is what we have now. So we've got the bobbins hanging below with all the beads down at the bottom. We've got our knot just in that middle well. It's not quite up top, it's sunken down just a little bit. Got our weight, and we're ready to start braiding. So what you're going to want to do, have the disc again facing you with the 16 at the bottom, the 32 at the top. We're going to take the left strand from the bottom and move it up to the left of the top two strands. Then we're going to take the right strand and move it to the bottom right. And we're going to turn, and we're not adding any beads at right now. So this is a standard 8 warp Kumihimo braid. Again, I'm going to take the bottom left thread and take it to the top left. I'm going to take the top right thread and take it to the bottom right. And I'm going to twist. So it's a quarter turn counterclockwise. So I'm going to take the bottom left purple thread and take it up to the top left. I'm going to take the top right and take it to the bottom right. Quarter turn counterclockwise, and you're going to want to have this off the ground so that the gravity is going to work in your favor, and this weight is going to pull your braid down, and all your threads are going to be nice and tight. So bottom left to top left, top right to bottom right, turn. Bottom left to top left, top right to bottom right and turn. And you're just going to do that basic braid for about 15 passes or so, anywhere between 12 and 20. I just am wanting to create a little bit of a standard braid before I add my beads. And that's going to help me when I add my clasp. So up, down, turn, up, down, turn. And then if you ever want to stop, go ahead and take the bottom left one up, put it at the top left. You can put down your kumihimo, you can walk away, and when you come back, you'll notice you've got one strand at the bottom, 3 up at top. So now you'll know when you go back, you need to bring the right one down to the bottom right. So make sure you do that whenever you leave. You always want then to make sure you just leave it so you have a 3 and 1, so you can easily come back and not lose your space. I'm going to do this a few more times. So if you can see this, it's probably going to be a little bit hard, but I've got a bit of a braid started there. And it's about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, but it's just about 1/4 of an inch. So now to add my first bead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one bead, scoot it up away from the rest, grab my S-Lon cord here so that I'm preventing the other beads from following, scoot that bead all the way down to the bottom, and I want to trap it just so that it's under the first warp that I need to pass over with this thread. So I'm doing the same technique where I did bottom left, top left. Nothing changed in my weaving pattern, but what changed was I added a bead. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to scoot one bead down, hold the others, trap it underneath the first warp I need to go over, and pull my right thread down. And then we're going to do a 1/4 turn. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to scoot one bead up, let it fall down into that well, let gravity work, slip it under the first warp you're going to pass over, and then continue putting your bottom left to the top left. Now we need to do the other side. So top right needs to go to bottom right, but first we're going to scoot one bead down, let it just catch under the first warp of the purple that you need to pass over with the teal Super-Lon, and then anchor and secure that thread down bottom right. Turn, single bead, bottom left to top left, top right to bottom right, making sure you scoot that bead down, let it get trapped under the first of the teal threads you're going to pass over. And keep repeating this process over and over, and that's all there is to it. All right, so I'm going to take a pause for a minute, and I want to show you, you're doing it right when all your strands are again back to their original position, so you know you've not missed a step or anything. I need to turn this right here, counterclockwise, and I need to scoot one bead down and make sure that I stop with my 3 ends up at top before I take a pause. So I want to show you how our braid is looking. You can see right in there we're getting that nice spiral effect. It's coming along quite quickly, and here was the original that we did without beads. Just a little bit of space so that we're going to be able to place on the glue-on clasp. So now I want to show you how to add some more beads to your strand. So I've got 2 more here, and I know I'm going to need some more, so I'm just going to pop open my bobbin, scoot some beads, wind my bobbin a little bit more, and pop it closed. And that's all you need to do, and that's why you don't really have to worry about in the beginning that all your bobbins have exactly the same amount of beads coming out of them. And if you want to lengthen it, just pull down on the bobbin, just rotate a little bit, and that's going to give you some more room. There we go. So you're just going to continue in the same fashion we've been doing until your bracelet reaches your desired length. I'd recommend about 6.5 inches of beadwork because your clasp is going to add about another inch. So if you have a 7.5 inch wrist, you want to bead about 6.5 inches of the actual beadwork. As you can see, I've now beaded about 6.5 inches of my Kumihimo braid. And now I'm going to do what I did in the beginning where I just did a little bit of braiding without any beads. So you can see my last couple weaves had the beads on them, but now I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead, continue as normal in the same pattern I did before. So left up, right down, not adding any beads. I still have my weight on my bottom because that's going to help with my tension. And I'm going to do this for just a little while, just so that when I attach my clasp, it's not right up against the beads. I have a little bit of room to work with. All right, that looks good to me. So at this point, I'm going to go underneath. I'm going to grab my braid. You can see it's the non-beaded part. I'm going to hold it, and I'm just going to pop off my strands. I'm also just going to go ahead and remove my weight. Still holding on to it, pull it through the disc. And now you have a couple different ways you can secure this. One is you can use some Scotch tape, and that's what we showed you how to do in our first non-beaded Kumihimo video. So you can do that. I'm going to do that for this one right here. And then I'm going to show you another method which also works well. So I'm just going to take a little tape, put it directly over my braid, and I'm just going to pinch it. Okay, so that's secure. Now, this is one method, and this is how we're going to attach this particular bracelet because we don't have a lot of extra room in our clasp. This is going to fit pretty much right inside there, and I don't have any extra space. But let's say I had a bigger well, like this is a 3mm, but let's say I had a 6mm clasp or an end cap, and I wanted to bulk up my braid so it'd fit in there better. What I could do, and at this time I can just go ahead and cut this. What I could do is I could just take a little bit of extra string, and I could just hold my threads and I could wind them. Just wind them like this, tie it off, and then go ahead and glue it in here as normal. And what the advantage is if you need to fill in the extra space and fill in that gap, if we had such a gap, you can just keep winding and winding, making it thicker and thicker so that it actually sits in there better. But we're not going to do that for this one. We're just going to do the tape method. So I've got this. I'm going to now go ahead, trim my tape. And I'm going to cut about, I'm going to look at my clasp. I have probably a good 1/4 of an inch in there. I'm going to cut it then at a 1/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some E6000 glue, and I'm using the tail end of a magic pick. You can use whatever you like, a scrap piece of wire or a toothpick works really well. I happen to have this on my desk. So I use it and it cleans off really nice. The back end of the magic pick, definitely not the pick end, if you're familiar with this tool. Okay, so I've got some E6000 on there. I'm just going to put it over the tip, around the side a little bit. It's going to spread out when I put the clasp on there anyways. All right, I'm going to fit my glue-on clasp right on top, shimmy it down, and then I can either wipe away that glue right now or let it dry, and then I can wipe away that glue. So there's 1/2 of our clasp attached. Now to do the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing, but first we're going to remove this knot. You can either cut off the knot if you have enough room, or if it feels like the knot's going to get in your way, you can just untie your knot like I'm going to do right here. And I'm holding on to my weaving, especially that area that doesn't have the beads. It's really easy to grab, just so it doesn't unravel on me. I'm going to take some tape again. Same process. Just going to wrap the tape around it. Cut these guys off just because they're in my way. Trim it. squish it, and then cut it about 1/4 of an inch. Again, take your E6000, put some on the tip, and then you're just going to take your clasp, put it on top, and push down. And there we go. And we have completed our bracelet. So now I actually have 2 matching ones, so 2 gifts for friends.